everyone, welcome to Apti Plus, the Academy for Civil Services. Today we are here to discuss the important current affairs of the last week, that is from 12th December to 20th December, and the format of the discussion will be in the form of the MCQ and the mains question. So without wasting time, let us move ahead. Our question number 1. Consider the following statements regarding the impeachment process of a judge of Supreme Court or High Court in India. Why this question was in news? The context was that recently an impeachment motion by the opposition was considered for the High Court judge, that is your Allahabad justice, and this was in respect of some religious remark made by him. So now let us see the impeachment process of the judge of Supreme Court and High Court in India. And our options are: the option number 1, motion for the removal of judge can only be initiated in the Lok Sabha. Option number 2, motion must be signed by at least 50 members of the Rajya Sabha or 100 members of the Lok Sabha, depending on where it is introduced. Number 3, the purpose for the removal of the judge involve inquiry by the committee constituted for the purpose. And the number 4, the final removal of the judge required the president's assent, and after it is passed in both the houses by the majority of the total membership and the two-third majority of the members and voting. So let's see the first option. See, it can be initiated in either of the house. So first option is, so the impeachment motion for the whether it is High Court judge or Supreme Court judge, it can be initiated in either of the Rajya Sabha or Lok Sabha. And yes, second statement is correct. If it is introduced in the Rajya Sabha, then must be signed by the 50 members, and if it is introduced in your Lok Sabha, then it must be signed by your 100 members. So this is correct. The third thing, yes, there will be an inquiry committee. An inquiry committee mein there will be 3 members of the jury, where there is one distinguished jurist, one High Court judge, one Supreme Court judge. And apart from that, in the last statement, द फाइनल रिमूवल कौन अप्रूव करेगा? वो आपके प्रेसिडेंट ही करते हैं, उनकी असेंट लगती है, बट ओनली आफ्टर द बिल, द impeachment process or the motion is passed by the special majority in both the houses. So पहले आपका सपोज राज्यसभा में impeachment motion स्टार्ट हुआ, उसके लिए 50 मेंबर का साइन चाहिए, देन देयर विल बी जो वहां के चेयरमैन होंगे उस मोशन को एक्सेप्ट करेंगे, एंड देन आफ्टर दैट देयर विल बी सेटिंग अप ऑफ इंक्वायरी कमेटी. उस इंक्वायरी कमेटी में देयर विल बी 3 members. दिस मोशन हैज टू बी passed by the special majority. After that, the motion will go to the next house, that is Lok Sabha. Again, it can conduct its own inquiry, or again there will be a special majority. If this special majority is achieved in the both the houses, then it will be going to the president, and the president will give the final assent. Final assent in the form ki the signature will be of the president. So your answer will be B234. Now we can look at this Allahabad judge case. Recently we have seen for some religious remarks he is being impeached, called for the impeachment. However, till date no judge of High Court or Supreme Court has been impeached. Now let's see some detailed explanation. See, for your Supreme Court, the article is 124 by 4 clause, and for High Court it is 217 number article. So important आपके article भी हैं. Then we can see the other things is 3-member committee to investigate the charges, which include the Supreme Court judge, High Court judge, and an eminent jurist, and it will be submitted to the House. And the grounds for being guilty is misbehavior or incapacity. तो ये 2 grounds होते हैं, फिर president की assent मिलती है, it will be debated and finalized, and finally the judge stands impeached. Now moving on, which of the following statements are correct with respect to small finance bank in India? Since recently RBI has twisted some norms with respect to small finance bank. Now they are allowed to give loans when operating through UPI. So again the SFBs are important, and ये पहले भी आपके प्री में बहुत बार पूछ रखा है, especially criteria whether it is SFB, whether it is any other sort of payment bank. So now let's see the option. SFBs are required to extend at least 50% of the loans to small and marginal farmers. No, ऐसा कुछ condition नहीं है. हाँ, ये condition है कि 75% should go to priority sector lending. But small and marginal farmers की category में उसमें जाएगा, that is not necessary. Primary objective क्या है? Financial inclusion. ये general statement है. It can be करेक्ट, तो ये आपका करेक्ट है. तो ऐसे स्टेटमेंट भी आप जनरलिस्टिक स्टेटमेंट्स यूजुअली करेक्ट होते हैं. देन थर्ड इज स्मॉल फाइनेंस बैंक आर अलाउड टू डील इन दी फॉरेन एक्सचेंज लाइक फुल सर्विस कमर्शियल बैंक. No, this is not allowed for your small finance bank. Their target was financial inclusion, that too only in those sections where the banking services are very less. तो ऐसा कोई स्पेशल प्रोविजन नहीं है जो फॉरेन एक्सचेंजेस और ये सब अलाउ करे एसएफबी को. तो दिस स्टेटमेंट इज आल्सो इनकरेक्ट. सो योर आंसर विल बी बी, ओनली टू. नाउ लेट अस सी सम मोर डिटेल्स विद रिस्पेक्ट टू एसएफबीस. सी आरबीआई गाइडलाइंस के अकॉर्डिंग दे कैन एक्सटेंड 75% ऑफ 75% क्या, जो उनका नेट बैंक क्रेडिट है, adjusted net bank credit, they can give to priority sector lending. There is no specific limitation of 50% to be given to your small or the marginal farmers. Okay, now next is that it aims financial inclusion, that we know, very general statement. And yeah, not just farmers, they can give to the industries, MSME sector, unorganized sector, women, FPOs, any other small scale sectors. Apart from this, they are not permitted to deal with your foreign exchange or some sort of full commercial bank. Full commercial bank कौन से होते हैं आपके, जैसे HDFC हो गया, SBI हो गया, इनमें आपको फॉरेन एक्सचेंज वाली टाइप्स की सर्विसेज मिलती हैं, बट SFBs में नहीं होता है. And they are largely focused on domestic segment of your banking. They are not dealing with the foreign segment. So only two statement is correct. Moving on, with respect to hemophilia A, the statements which of the following are correct? First is, it is caused by the deficiency factor 9, which plays a crucial role in blood clotting. Yes, हेमोफीलिया कौन सी डिजीज होती है जिसमें आपका ब्लड क्लॉट नहीं हो पाता है, ये आपका एक जेनेटिक डिजीज भी है. सो इसकी जो हेमोफीलिया ए होती है, दैट इज लार्जली ड्यू टू योर फैक्टर 8, and जो hemophilia B होती है, that is due to factor 9. So this statement also stands incorrect. Then hemophilia A primarily affects males, but females can be the carrier. This is also true. Single X chromosome, XY chromosome होता है आपके मेल में, and in female we have XX. So if there is a, suppose in female if there is a carrier, if this X is a carrier for your hemophilia A, then this X can compensate for your hemophilia A. So जो symptoms है वो आपके फीमेल में दिखना जरूरी नहीं है, but yes, this can be a carrier. लेकिन XY में that is your male, अगर X में है carrier तो दिखेगा भी. So males को ज्यादा affect करता है. Advance in the gene therapy has potential to provide the long term treatment. Gene therapy है, almost सब चीजों में apply हो जाती है, especially such diseases. तो यहाँ पे एक जनरल स्टेटमेंट मानते हुए वी कैन कंसिडर दिस करेक्ट. एंड रिसेंटली हमारे एक एडवांस मिला है, साइंटिस्ट ने नए प्रूफ निकाले हैं, द एफिकेसी ऑफ द जीन थेरेपी फॉर योर हेमोफीलिया ए. दैट इज व्हाई दिस वाज इन न्यूज. तो हमें जीन थेरेपी के बारे में भी पता होना चाहिए. सो योर स्टेटमेंट, दोज हु आर व्हिच आर करेक्ट आर 1 and no 2 and 3. The answer is C. Now let's see the detailed explanation. See, it is caused by hemophilia factor 8, not 9. 9 factor से कौन सा होता है, hemophilia B. This also we should know. And factor 8 किस लिए क्या प्रॉब्लम करता है, स्पेशली हेमोफीलिया ए में हमारी प्रोटीन डेफिशिएंसी हो जाती है जिससे कि ब्लड क्लॉटिंग होती है, तो हमारे कंटिन्यूअस ब्लीडिंग, प्रोलॉन्ग ब्लीडिंग एपिसोड्स इट कैन बी फाउंड इन हेमोफीलिया ए एंड इट इज एक्स लिंक्ड रिसेसिव जेनेटिक डिसऑर्डर। तो ये भी पता है, आपको कंफ्यूज करने के लिए दे सकते हैं एक्स लिंक है या वाई लिंक है, तो एंड इट्स अ जेनेटिक डिसऑर्डर, so this you should know. Then recent advances have been made for treating hemophilia via gene therapy. As a result, कि आप इस जीन थेरेपी में क्या करेंगे, हम एक और फैक्टर 8 वाले जीन में पेशेंट के लिवर सेल में एक और एक्स क्रोमोसोम उसकी फंक्शनल कॉपी डाल देंगे, ठीक है, तो वो नॉर्मल एक्ट करेगा और इसका आपका असर नहीं दिखेगा। सो फैक्टर 8 का एक और कॉपी डल जाएगा तो हमारा डेफिशिएंसी नहीं रहेगी, तो फ्रीक्वेंट एपिसोड ऑफ ब्लीडिंग विल बी रिड्यूस्ड एंड क्लॉटिंग आपकी रहेगी बॉडी में। सो दिस विल बी योर जीन थेरेपी ट्रीटमेंट, बट अभी कुछ ऐसा मेजर स्टैंडर्ड ट्रीटमेंट की तरह इसको अवॉर्ड नहीं किया गया है। एज अ रिजल्ट इट्स जस्ट इन इट्स एक्सपेरिमेंटल स्टेज। नाउ मूविंग ऑन, with respect to, consider the following statements with respect to UNCCD, that is United Nations Convention to combat desertification. Now let's see the statements. Number 1, UNCCD is the only legally binding international agreement linking environment and development to sustainable land management. So this statement is correct. तो UNCCD हमारा कब आया था, ये 1994 में एनफोर्स हुआ था एंड इट इज वन ऑफ द कन्वेंशन दैट केम आउट ऑफ 1992 अर्थ समिट। तो बाकी दो कन्वेंशन कौन सी है, UNCBD that is on biological diversity and another one is UNFCCC with respect to climate change. So UNCCD हमारा तीसरा कन्वेंशन था एंड दिस इज ऑल्सो लीगली बाइंडिंग एंड ये किस चीज से कॉम्बैट करता है, लैंड मैनेजमेंट और डेजर्टिफिकेशन में। सो डेजर्टिफिकेशन हो या लैंड मैनेजमेंट के लिए तो एकमात्र कन्वेंशन है दैट इज योर UNCCD एंड इट्स प्राइमरी ऑब्जेक्टिव इज टू कॉम्बैट डेजर्टिफिकेशन एंड ड्रॉट बाय प्रमोटिंग एफॉरेस्टेशन इन डेजर्ट रीजन ओनली। तो ऐसा कुछ नहीं है, यूजली जितने भी एक्सट्रीम स्टेटमेंट्स होते हैं जैसे ओनली दिस ओनली दैट or none of the, so try to rethink about them, try to read them multiple times because these statements are generally wrong but it is not a norm. So यहाँ पे खाली डेजर्ट रीजन में डेजर्टिफिकेशन को रोकना काम नहीं है बल्कि नॉन डेजर्ट रीजन में नहीं स्प्रेड हो और वहां पे भी लैंड डिग्रेडेशन ना हो, ये भी इस कन्वेंशन का पार्ट है। इंडिया ने होस्ट किया था 16th कॉन्फ्रेंस ऑफ पार्टी टू UNCCD। नो, इंडिया होस्टेड 14th COP, not your 16th COP। 16th COP अभी भी हो रही है, that is in your रियाद सऊदी अरेबिया। तो ये CCD कन्वेंशन अगेन आपकी इस साल न्यूज में रही है, तो वी शुड बी अवेयर ऑफ दिस फैक्ट। तो 1 and 2 आर करेक्ट, सॉरी 1 ओनली इज करेक्ट बिकॉज 2 में ओनली ये वाला आ गया, तो ये आपके दोनों रॉन्ग है। सो यू कैन सी 16th COP कहाँ हुई है, रियाद सऊदी अरेबिया में। एंड UNCCD कब आई है, 1994 में, एनफोर्स में आई है 1996 में। ये भी फैक्ट पता होना चाहिए, कंफ्यूज कर सकते हैं अडॉप्ट कब हुई है और एनफोर्स में कब आई है। ओनली लीगली बाइंडिंग ट्रीटी फोकसिंग ऑन दी land degradation and the desertification and promotes sustainable land management and its strategy usually is red plus, that is reforestation, afforestation and controlling the desertification। तो वो सॉइल डिग्रेडेशन भी एक तरह का लिंक बनाते हैं, सोशियो इकोनॉमिक डेवलपमेंट हो, आपका लैंड मैनेजमेंट हो, सॉइल डिग्रेडेशन हो, एवरीथिंग इज बीइंग लिंक्ड एंड बीइंग कंट्रोल्ड एंड टारगेटेड अंडर दिस convention and India is party to this convention. It aims to restore the land productivity and how land productivity is linked to the people, to the society, that it is able to reduce the poverty and improve the food security. Now next part is एफॉरेस्टेशन करते हैं, रिफॉरेस्टेशन करते हैं, जो भी CCD के अंदर मेजर्स होते हैं। इसके अलावा कैपेसिटी बिल्डिंग अप्रोच है, सॉइल कंजर्वेशन है, देन वी प्रमोट द एग्रो फॉरेस्ट्री, some indigenous practices also, and नॉट जस्ट एफॉरेस्टेशन। तो खाली पेड़ लगाना टारगेट नहीं है, कैपेसिटी बिल्डिंग करना, वहाँ के लोकल लोगों को इन्वॉल्व करना, एग्रो फॉरेस्ट्री करना, सॉइल को कंजर्व करना, डिग्रेडेड लैंड्स को ठीक करना, दैट इज ऑल्सो द टारगेट। एंड ये ऐसा नहीं है कि खाली डेजर्ट रीजन में होगा, इट कैन टारगेट द सेमी एरिड, ड्राई, ह्यूमिड, विच आर prone to desertification. So this you should also read very specifically. तो आपको स्टेटमेंट में थोड़ा थोड़ा मॉडिफाई करके दे सकते हैं। और नेक्स्ट स्टेटमेंट, इंडिया होस्टेड कॉप 14 कहाँ पे? ग्रेटर नोएडा में। एंड मोदी जी ने इंडिया ने अपना कमिटमेंट अनाउंस किया था दैट वी विल रीस्टोर 26 मिलियन हेक्टेयर ऑफ द डिग्रेडेड इंडियन land by when? By 2030. So this target is also very important, remember it. Aligning with the land degradation neutrality target. तो ये LDN क्या है? लैंड डिग्रेडेशन न्यूट्रलिटी मीन्स अगर जितना लैंड आपका खराब हो रहा है तो उतना ही वापस से रिस्टोर कर दिया जाए, सो दैट जो लेवल है वो मेंटेन रहे या उससे बेटर हो जाए, बट फर्दर वो डिग्रेड नहीं हो। दैट इज द लैंड डिग्रेडेशन न्यूट्रलिटी टारगेट। अपार्ट फ्रॉम दिस द थीम वाज इन्वेस्टिंग इन द लैंड टू अनलॉक द अपॉर्चुनिटीज। कहाँ हुई थी? ग्रेटर नोएडा में हुई थी। सो दीज आर द सर्टेन फैक्ट्स। Now moving on, which of the following statements regarding the comprehensive and the progressive agreement for the Trans-Pacific Partnership are correct? The first statement is a trade agreement between 12 Pacific Rim countries, including the US. So ये statement itself is wrong, क्योंकि सारा जो क्वेश्चन आया आपका ट्रांस पैसिफिक पार्टनरशिप में वो आया है इस वजह से बिकॉज यूएस हैज बीन वेरी इनकंसिस्टेंट विद रिस्पेक्ट टू टीपीपी। तो शुरू में टीपीपी बना था आपका, पैसिफिक कंट्रीज के बीच में एक ट्रेड अग्रीमेंट हुआ था टू रिड्यूस द टैरिफ एंड अलाउ द free movement of the goods and services as well as of people. But what happened when Donald Trump came to power? Then US has refused to be part of this partnership. As a result, it remained the 11 membered. It became comprehensive progressive agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership. But recently, your UK or you can say Britain became part of it as a 12th member. So still, it began with the 12 members with USA, but then USA was not part. Now the new 12th member is UK. So first statement is wrong. Second statement, the agreement aims to eliminate the tariff on goods and services. This is true, क्योंकि भाई ट्रेड एग्रीमेंट है, इट्स अ पार्टनरशिप फॉर ट्रेड ओनली ना। सो आपका टैरिफ्स एलिमिनेट करने टारगेट है। इंडिया इज अ फाउंडिंग मेंबर, इंडिया इसका मेंबर ही नहीं है। लेट नॉट अलोन बी founding. So this is wrong. So answer will be B, 2 only. Now let's see some detailed explanation. UK became the 12th member. This we should know. US not a member. US withdraw in 2017. Who are the other members? That is Australia, Brunei, Canada, Chile, Japan, Malaysia, Mexico, New Zealand, Peru, Singapore, UK and Vietnam. So ye remember the names of the members. This could be asked to find out the which all are not part of your CPTPP. Then key objective, reduce the tariff on the goods and services as well as other wide range of areas, for example investment, intellectual property, e-commerce, and make a common standards for the trade between these issue amongst those member. But India is not a founding member, let alone your member. Again, इंडिया क्यों नहीं पार्टिसिपेट किया? बिकॉज इंडिया वॉज स्केर्ड कि डंप, एग्रीकल्चरल डंप आ जाएगा हमारे यहाँ, हमारे फार्मर्स को प्रोटेक्ट नहीं होगा, एमएसएमई सेक्टर अफेक्ट होगा, डोमेस्टिक इंडस्ट्रीज आर नॉट एबल टू compete in the international market and other services, plus our people are not allowed freely. Such terms and conditions were there that they were not allowed freely to do work in those country. So that's why India did not participated in the partnership at the very first place. Now moving on, in which of the following cities India's first diabetes biobank has been opened? And your answer is चेन्नई। अब ये डायबिटीज, व्हाट इज दिस डायबिटीज बायो बैंक, जहाँ पे डायबिटीज रिलेटेड रिसर्च होगी। तो ये इंडिया का पहला ऐसा बैंक बन रहा है, कहाँ पे, चेन्नई में। समटाइम्स ऐसे वन लाइनर भी आ जाते हैं। India has taken certain steps to establish its first diabetes biobank, and it is by efforts of ICMR and the Madras Diabetes Research Foundation. Objective is to collect the biological samples from every sort of population of diabetes and other health related issues and conduct certain studies. So this this will focus not just on the uh, type 1 type 2 but gestational diabetes, that is those type of diabetes which occur when the woman is pregnant and it is passed on to the child. Then certain timeline is given, that is approximately 2 years it began. Then further research are continuously taking on. It is recently was in news, so we should remember the fact where it is. Kiski collaboration se, ICMR and Madras Diabetic Research Foundation, and it will focus on all types of diabetes and do the research. Now moving on, consider the following statement. Recently we know D. Gukesh was very much in news. So why? Let's see whether when we see the news, do we really see what he has actually got the title for. Then D. Gukesh is the youngest ever chess world champion. This statement is correct. D. Gukesh is also the youngest grandmaster in the history. No, this is not correct. इससे पहले भी तो D. Gukesh is the third youngest grandmaster. इससे पहले भी रशिया का there was one player who was younger to D. Gukesh. And the FIDE is the organization that conducts such world championship, and other national chess champion associations are also part of this organization, that is FIDE. So FIDE is also very important with this respect. So its headquarters are in Paris, that is in France. So this statement is also wrong. So first answer is C, only one. Now let's see. D. Gukesh became the youngest ever chess world champion at the age of 18, defeating the China's Ding Liren, the 2023 World Chess Champion. In 2024 FIDE World Chess Championship कहाँ हुई थी? सिंगापुर में हुई थी. FIDE Championship हुई थी. And he is the third youngest grandmaster in the history. And he got a rating of 2750. तो ये marks points मिलते हैं. That is your rating. He is 4 years younger than the Russian Garry Kasparov when he claimed the title in 1985. Gukesh is the second Indian grandmaster. इससे पहले हमारे जो grandmaster world level पे रहे थे वो थे विश्वनाथ आनंद. Now, FIDE is the organization governing all the international chess championship competition, as well as it is the global sporting organization where the national chess federations are part of almost 201 countries, as well as it is being approved by the International Olympic Committee in 1999. So इसको मान्यता किससे मिली है? IOC से भी मिल रखी है. प्लस इसके मेंबर्स कौन है? जो नेशनल चेस चैंपियनशिप एसोसिएशंस होती हैं. एंड सारे चेस रिलेटेड कंपटीशन के रूल्स और रेगुलेटिंग बॉडी इज योर FIDE. and it's founded in 1924 में बनी थी पेरिस में, but current headquarters are in Lausanne. Okay, so not in London. Now next, with respect to the Wetland Conservation and the Management Rule 2017. Recently they were in news. Why? There was Supreme Court ban on some activities with respect to wetland because a PIL was filed in Supreme Court. So this Supreme Court has released certain guidelines with respect to the wetland rules of 2017. So what does first statement say? That prohibit any construction activity in the wetland without prior approval. This statement is correct. Then under the rule, wetlands are to be designated by the center in consultation with the state. This is also a correct statement. तो सेंटर अप्रूव कर सकता है कोई भी जगह को designate कर सकता है as a wetland, but only after the consultation with the state counterpart. The rules provided for the establishment of the wetland authority at the state level, yes, जो actual work होगा regulate करेंगे, protection करेंगे, services provide करेंगे with respect to the wetland, that is the wetland authority, जो कि state level पे बनेगी. Then wetland rules allow for the conversion of wetland for the commercial purpose without restrictions. So obviously consider 1 and 4 together. Your 4 will be incorrect because यहाँ पे बोल रहा है कि without prior approval कुछ नहीं कर सकते. But here it is saying that without restrictions you can do any commercial activity. So these are contradictory statements. So we should analyze the statements. कहीं कोई contradictory बात तो नहीं है. तो automatically एक statement आपका सही होगा and एक गलत होगा. So 4 is incorrect. Because rules आए क्यों थे? For the conservation of the wetland. So your answer will be B 1, 2, 3. Now let's see the detailed explanation. This is all with respect to protect the ecological integrity and prevent the degradation of the wetland and control the unchecked development activities. That is why these rules were brought in. News में क्यों है? Because a PIL was filed by some activist with respect to the construction activities going on in your wetlands. Then we say that there has to be consultation with respect to state and center with respect to designation of any new wetland. Apart from this, wetland authority has to be formed at the state level and doesn't allow conversion for the commercial purposes without restriction. In fact, it prohibits the conversion to prevent the loss of wetland. तो wetland कंजर्व करने के लिए करंट रूल्स कौन से हैं? 17 वाले रूल्स हैं. अपार्ट फ्रॉम दिस देयर इज वन रामसर कन्वेंशन. दिस इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, आस्क्ड मल्टीपल टाइम्स, सो यू कैन आल्सो रीड अबाउट दिस. मूविंग ऑन, which of the following statements are correct with respect to Hindustani classical music? Now first, Hindustani classical music primarily relies on the notation system to teach and learn. No, this is not the correct statement because this is the feature of your South Indian music, South Indian classical music, and not Hindustani music. Okay. The second statement, the Hindustani classical music includes rag, tal, and alap. This is correct. The rag is to narrate the story. No, this is the rag is the setting notes. Then next is khayal is only form of vocal music in the Hindustani classical music. तो ऐसा नहीं है, it doesn't include other form like ठुमरी and ध्रुपद. This is also incorrect because ख्याल होता है, ठुमरी होता है, ध्रुपद होता है, and many other forms are present in the Hindustani classical music. In Hindustani music, not unlike your Carnatic music, which focus on the strict notation system, your Hindustani classical music is some sort of music where there is improvisation of the notes, improvisation of the rag, improvisation of the tal, and these are the three elements: rag, tal, alap, RTA. This you have to remember, and it is very emotional. It focus on a story, it focus on the music aspect. So your answer will be 2, and this 2 statement is correct. 2 and 3. Now let's see. Rag is to convey a particular emotion or the mood. Why? Because कौन कौन से राग होते हैं? कई बार एक particular रस क्या होता है? आपका emotion. Then wide range of emotions. For example, day, season, भैरव राग होता है ना, भैरव राग सुना है? एग्जाम्पल कहीं सुना होगा, एंगर मूड को दर्शाता है. 3 components होते हैं in your Hindustani music: rag, tal, alap. Rag is the backbone that is having set of ascending and descending notes. Notes means swar and phrases means pakad. Apart from that, rhythmic cycle in the music is provided by your tal with proper time frame and the pattern of the beats. And alap is introductory section which is free in form without any strict restrictions on the nature of its tempo. So three parts: rag, tal, alap. Now Hindustani classical music focuses on improvisation of the rag, not strict notation. That is a feature of your Carnatic music, or you can say which is found in South India. And the Hindustani music has elements from other sources also. For example, Khyal, Thumri, Drupad, other devotional tap, the folk genre. So it is a mix match, not purely the Carnatic type. Apart from this, why this was a news reason, the Zakir Hussain, legendary tabla maestro, has passed away recently. With respect to the Prevention of Sexual Harassment Act 2013, consider the following statements. तो हमें correct statement पहचानना है. First is POSH Act applied to only organized sectors such as government offices and private companies. No, it applies to the unorganized sector. For example, NGOs, your house help. These are also covered under this POSH Act. Internal Complaint Committee must include a representative from NGOs working in the area of sexual harassment. Yes, one of the member of your ICC, which is formed in every office where there are more than 10 employees, then every such office has to form this committee, and this committee must have member from outside, that is some NGOs. Any complaint filed under this act must be resolved within 90 days. This is also correct. Mandate that employer is responsible for safety of employee, whether regular or temporary, while they are at the workplace. So this is also correct. So 2, 3, 4 is the answer. C. Now let's see. Recently, a PIL has been heard by Supreme Court regarding applicability of POSH Act in the political parties. तो political parties पे apply होगा या नहीं होगा? This could be a future question also. So currently it do not applies, but it depends on the Supreme Court judgment which will be delivered. It has not been delivered yet. Now POSH Act किस पे अप्लाई होता है? अनऑर्गेनाइज्ड, ऑर्गेनाइज्ड, प्राइवेट, गवर्नमेंट, एजुकेशनल इंस्टीट्यूशंस एंड फैक्ट्रीज, होम बेस्ड वर्कर, सब पे अप्लाई होता है. आईसीसी बनाना इंपॉर्टेंट है एंड मस्ट है, एंड उसमें आपका एक्सटर्नल मेंबर कौन रहेगा? एनजीओ का पर्सन और सम अदर पर्सन फेमिलियर विद द सेक्सुअल हरासमेंट इशू. And such internal complaint committee must have minimum 4 members, including a woman, external member from NGO, a senior woman employee, and the third party member from any other organization. So this composition is also important. According to POSH, once complaint is made, it should be resolved within 90 days from the date of the filing. And inquiry होगी फिर, and then final verdict आपका 90 days के अंदर आ जाएगा. And it should not be prolonged to avoid any mental trauma to the female who has been sexually harassed. Apart from that, it is mandatory for the employer to take a step for the safe working employment for all the employees, चाहे वो contractual हो, regular हो, outsourced staff हो, वो जिम्मेदारी किसकी है? Employer की होती है. Now, moving on, MFN प्रिंसिपल किसके अंडर है? अंडर WTO. तो ये अभी न्यूज में क्यों रहा है? बिकॉज स्विट्जरलैंड हैज asked is removing MFN status for some countries, and that's why it was again in the news. Let's see what is MFN all about. And India Pakistan के context में भी MFN status रहता है. पहले इंडिया ने MFN स्टेटस दे रखा था पाकिस्तान को, बट पाकिस्तान हैज नॉट रेसिप्रोकेटेड, रादर इट इज कंटिन्यूइंग ऑन गोइंग ऑन विद इट्स टेररिस्ट एक्टिविटीज. But now India has also taken away this MFN status from Pakistan. Now let's see what is MFN. This principle requires that any trade advantage offered to one country shall also be extended to all other members. Means अगर A, B, C countries are part of WTO, then if this country extend some benefit, some trade concessions on this, the trade between these two, then similar concession has to be extended by A to C if it extends some concessions to B. So it calls for non-discrimination, and non-discrimination principle is mentioned under your MFN status. What else? A country cannot grant trade preference to any one nation without extending those preference to all members. This is also correct. MFN is fundamental principle of the GATT agreement, that is General Agreement on the Tariff and Trade, now incorporated into WTO framework. Yes, this is also correct. तो WTO से पहले कौन सी organization थी? It was GATT, and this was the arrangement. And then finally, Uruguay rounds of talk happened, and in 1995, your WTO was formed. But this GATT was only dealing in the goods. WTO deals in goods, services, personal and intellectual property, e-commerce, everything. Now, its fourth statement says, and whatever this MFN status type was in GATT, it is included in your WTO. So this statement is also correct. Now, fourth statement, MFN principle applies only to the tariff and not to the non-tariff barrier. No, this is incorrect. It applies to both tariff and the non-tariff barrier. अब ये दोनों में फर्क क्या होता है? अब सपोज ए कंट्री से बी कंट्री में कोई सामान जा रहा है, तो बी कंट्री कुछ ट्रेड रिस्ट्रिक्शंस लगाएगी कि आपको इतनी कस्टम ड्यूटी देनी है और इतना आप पे टैक्सेशन लगेगा, and these things. Apart from that, B country can also say that there are some quality issue in your product, जैसे कि Europe usually does, UK where our mangoes are famous. So what it does, it say if it has to cancel our shipment, then it will say कि okay, the quality of the mango is not good. Recently they have also include one more, the European Union has included one more non-tariff barrier. तो नॉन टैरिफ बैरियर कौन सा? कि हमारे जो प्रोडक्ट्स आने चाहिए वो इन्वायरमेंटली साउंड होने चाहिए, ठीक है? तो सच थिंग्स विच आर नॉट पार्ट ऑफ द टैक्सेस कंपोनेंट ना, तो दैट आर योर नॉन ट्रेड बैरियर्स. एंड ट्रेड वाले टैक्स जो मनी रिलेटेड होते हैं, जिसमें आप पे इतना टैक्स लगेगा इफ आप ट्रेड कर रहे हो एंड एक्सपोर्ट इम्पोर्ट कर रहे हो. सो MFN दोनों पे अप्लाइड होता है, अगर आप टैरिफ बैरियर्स, नॉन टैरिफ बैरियर दोनों पे. So 1, 2, 3 are correct. Answer will be B. So this I have explained you. The news was with respect to Switzerland and MFN, not only to the tariff but non-tariff barrier also. Now moving on, what is the correct procedure for removal of vice president? Again, Jagdeep Dhankar, our opposition, is trying to move the removal procedure for the Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar. This was in news. Now, let's see the statement. Vice President can be removed by the resolution passed in Lok Sabha alone. So this is completely wrong, as we know. Agar Rajya Sabha only can move the resolution to remove the Vice President, or you can say the ex officio chairperson of the Rajya Sabha. The removal procedure of the Vice President requires the resolution to be passed by majority of the members of the Rajya Sabha. This is correct. The resolution of the Vice President must be supported by at least 2/3 of the members present and voting in the Rajya Sabha. This is also correct. After resolution is passed, it must be communicated to the President. This is incorrect because Rajya Sabha के पास से लोकसभा पे जाता है, लोकसभा सिंपल मेजोरिटी से पास करके एंड देन इट विल गो टू प्रेसिडेंट, जिसको अप्रूवल देना ही है, ठीक है? जो अप्रूवल होता है, रेजोल्यूशन को पास करना है, वो प्रेसिडेंट कम्युनिकेट नहीं करना है, अप्रूवल असेंट देना है. सो दिस इज इनकरेक्ट. हो हमारा आंसर हुआ 2 and 3, दैट इज बी. After resolution is passed, it must be communicated to president, but the president does not approve the resolution. President role is merely to act upon the decision made by Rajya Sabha. तो ऐसा नहीं है कि प्रेसिडेंट जो रेजोल्यूशन पास होके आया है उसको खारिज कर सकता है. द प्रेसिडेंट हैज टू गिव द अप्रूवल. इट कैन नॉट बी rejected. The motion cannot be rejected by the president, but it could only be communicated to the president. and ये कौन से आर्टिकल से ये प्रोसीजर कहाँ लिखा है? आर्टिकल 67B. so this is also important article. The procedure I have already told you. Now moving on, with respect to Schengen zone, it allows the passport free travel among its member, means there are no restriction border controls between them. तो ये सही है, बिकॉज शेंजन जोन हमारी कहाँ है? यूरोप में है. यूरोप की कुछ कंट्रीज ऐसी हैं, this portion, that here we can travel freely without visa in each country, crossing the broad border. Only those countries which are part of this zone. But not just European Union countries are part. Other countries are also part of this zone, and those countries are Norway, Switzerland, Iceland, and Liechtenstein. Okay, so such countries are also part of your European Union. Now let's see what else are the statements given. All member countries of the European Union are automatically part of the Schengen zone. No, एक हमारा agreement होता है Schengen zone से related. कोई country को certain criteria meet करने होंगे, then it will become part of your Schengen zone. And European Union, if some country is part of European Union, then it doesn't mean that it will automatically promote to the level of the Schengen zone. So only because there are countries which are not part of the Schengen zone, but they are part of the European Union. Then Schengen agreement allows for the reintroduction of the border controls by the member state during exceptional circumstances. अगर कोई war होता है or any other type of situation, exceptional situation is there, then these countries are under the Schengen visa, they can introduce the border control, but only in the exceptional circumstances. So this is correct. And the third statement, non-European countries like Norway, Iceland, Switzerland, Liechtenstein are not part. ऐसा नहीं है, ये non-European countries हैं and ये Schengen का part है. So अगर आप यूरोपियन यूनियन में हो, it doesn't mean कि आप शेंगन का पार्ट हो. अगर आप यूरोपियन यूनियन से बाहर हैं, then also you can become part of Schengen zone. So your answer will be 1 and 4D. Now this I have all explained. तो शेंगन अग्रीमेंट कब आया? 1985 में. फुल्ली इम्प्लीमेंट हुआ है 1995 में. This years you should remember. Currently there are 27 European countries and individuals need single visa to travel across the entire area, and this can be possible only up to 90 days within 180-day period without additional visa. Then next statement, there are countries Ireland, Bulgaria, Romania, Croatia. ये आपके यूरोपियन यूनियन की पार्ट हैं, but they're not part of your Schengen zone. Plus there are non-European countries like Norway, Switzerland, Liechtenstein, which are part of Schengen zone. तो ये दोनों points are very important. Countries which are part of European but not Schengen. Then yes, reintroduction of the internal border under exceptional circumstances by the member state is possible, but these controls are not automatically reinstated but triggered by exceptional situations only. So recently your Bulgaria and Romania will join European Union Schengen zone. तो अभी क्वेश्चन पूछ सकते हैं recent कौन सी कंट्रीज हैं या कौन से मेंबर्स हैं. Moving on. Now let us move to the mains questions which are relevant in the news and very important for your mains paper. And this left wing extremism is part of your GS paper 3 in internal security, and one question in your paper 3 is must on left wing extremism. This is very important question. Now let's see. Discuss the socio-economic and the political factor contributing to the left wing extremism in India. Examine the challenges faced by the government in addressing the left wing extremism and suggest the effective strategy for its mitigation. 250 marks means it's a 15 marker question and it is part of GS3 syllabus. Now let's see how we will begin this answer. So there are two approaches, whether you can explain left-wing extremism in brief, the affected areas, then you can also say the extent of left-wing extremism in India, that is red corridor, where if there is percentage increase or percentage decrease by some data of Ministry of Home Affairs. So this could be your extremism. Here, what is mentioned, that left-wing extremism refers to armed insurgency by communist group in India, particularly in tribal-dominated area and rural areas of states like Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, Odisha, Bihar, Andhra, Maharashtra. The roots lie in the socio-economic political deprivation of these region, which has generated a feeling of alienation amongst the local population. This is also known by the name Naxalite movement, Naxalism, which forms the basis of this extremism. So, you can give this definition. Very, very important definition. So, क्या है? It's a armed insurgency, communist group affecting those certain areas, especially those who are left behind in the race of the development in the country. And such feelings are exploited by the insurgent groups. Now, moving on, now we will write what are the causes. The next part will be the causes or the factors leading to left-wing extremism or its continuation. First thing is poverty and underdevelopment. So here we can write down about why there is so much left-wing extremism going on in the country, because of the रूरल डिसकंटेंट. इन इलाकों में हमारी रोड नहीं है, सड़क नहीं है, पढ़ाई लिखाई नहीं है, आपके पास एम्प्लॉयमेंट नहीं है. Plus, there was land and resource alienation. The industries have acquired the land forcefully without the due compensation and rehabilitation to the displaced tribal members, and their lack of knowledge, lack of awareness is being exploited by the rich groups. As a result, the Naxalites have, or some common local people have, put up arms in their hand, and the other Naxalite groups which have formed associations are exploiting this situation to their favor amongst the people who are favoring for your left-wing extremism and generating appeal, and this movement is going on. Then next point is lack of development. The आपने एक मूवी देखी होगी न्यूटन, वहां पे the government officer went for election and no one, almost nil people participated. So that shows the extent of the lack of development. Basic education, health services नहीं है. You cannot have proper elections. कोई भी security problems बहुत ज्यादा है left wing extremism area में. If some officer goes, then they are usually killed. There is sort of discontent. And moving on, there is lot of discontent with respect to constitutional provisions of the STs, and their traditional rights over the forest lands are ignored, especially improper implementation of Forest Right Act. Then, and the lack of rehabilitation under Land Acquisition Act of 2013. So these are the two acts which you can mention. Apart from this, the caste-based discrimination, since there are STs, either they are not brought under the category or only the well-off amongst those STs could get the benefits. Apart from that, other castes like SCs and OBCs are also doing the discrimination against this tribal dominated region. And next, there are some political factors also. See, you have to write like socio-economic factors, then you'll write political factors, then you can write other factors. And isme then you can divide into sub factors. So this will make very good framework for the causes. answer. It will look very presentable. Then political alienation, their grievances are not heard. Justice, human rights commissions, they are not able to do justice there. Justice delivery नहीं है पहली चीज तो, जुडिशरी प्रॉपरली वर्क नहीं कर पाती, और वहां से उस ट्राइबल डोमिनेटेड जंगल का इलाका से निकल के जज जस्टिस की एक्सेस करना itself is difficult when you have no money. So justice is impenetrable there, as well as the issue of जल जंगल जमीन, ये तीन इशू हैं नक्सलिज्म में. Corruption, lot of corruption amongst the discontent against the security forces especially. Then weak governance system, plus there is tactics of guerrilla warfare, and they are receiving international support especially from the countries like China and universities, plus urban nationalism process going on currently. Giving support means urban nationalism means the urban elites are also supporting their movement. So such actions are promoting the continuation of left-wing extremism. So in this you can write in other factors. Moving on, what are the challenges faced by the government agencies in addressing why we are till date after 75 years of the independence not possible to address this issue of internal security? Because of the tactics they are using. They are hiding under the jungle doing the guerrilla warfare, which is sometimes very difficult to deal with for the security forces. They are using improved IEDs to target forces. तो जंगल में छुप के they attack in the form of guerrilla warfare. तो इन्हें डिटेक्ट करना, जंगल की नॉलेज लोकल पीपल को ज्यादा होती है, not someone who has been frequently transferred. So improvised devices they are using, plus they are establishing control over the liberated zones also, once again taking the control where security forces are already established. तो continuous heavy security forces चाहिए होती हैं, तो वहां पे आपका financial issues भी आते हैं. Then international funding is definitely one issue, plus there is trust deficit, development deficit. You cannot provide participation, governance and justice. वहां पे awareness and this discontent feeling कैसे निकालोगे इतने सालों की? So that itself is very difficult. Then inclusion, exclusion, errors, the community ownership and the resistant community itself is supporting the movement. That is why it is very challenging for the security forces, or you can say the governance agencies, to go and stop this movement further. Now, what we can do? Definitely awareness, modernization of the police, new devices, expertise in the guerrilla warfare. Then what else you can do? The community policing. Make people themselves the monitor of their situation. Develop the better intelligence network with the people at the ground. Also, launch counterinsurgency operations, specialized force as greyhounds, for example. Andhra Pradesh has launched, because of this greyhound force, a special force, the extent of this Naxalism has reduced in Andhra Pradesh, and demarcation of the state borders. तो सबसे ज्यादा present day में Naxalism कहाँ है? Chhattisgarh. If this is Chhattisgarh, here we have MP, here we have Maharashtra, here we have Odisha, and here we have Andhra Pradesh, Telangana region. So this region, which is at the confluence of the border region of all the states, is more prone, is currently the hub of Naxalism. Reason? Because states के inter-state disputes are present. Now let's see the other reforms. We can see bring democracy to the ground, engage them into political processes, give them political offices, let it be via reservation, reform the laws, especially the discontent against the UAPA, because unbridled power has been given to the armed forces. So reform this law. Then again, essential aspect is justice delivery, or you say human rights protection. So this could be the possible solution. So then you can say then left-wing extremism requires a holistic approach. So we need development also. We need strong security forces also. We need political efforts also. So it's a holistic approach, not only at the one front. Capacity building of the people, awareness, and such issues requires governance reform, social justice, development projects. So this is how you can conclude. Then you can also conclude with former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh's statement with respect to internal security. Then moving on, let's analyze the role of the FDI in India's competitiveness and innovation ecosystem. How do improvement in global competitiveness affect FDI? So this is also part of your GS3 syllabus in economy section. There we have FDI and FDI role, the direct topic mentioned in your syllabus. So let's see what is FDI. FDI क्या होता है? FDI is what is FDI? Country में बाहर से foreign direct investment आना. Then if it is more than 10% of the share in a company, then it is called foreign direct investment. It can be via your automatic route or the government approved route. So this you can introduce with, or you can also introduce with some fact like FDI. Currently India को 100 billion FDI मिला है from 2000 to 24. India को maximum FDI कहाँ से मिलता है? सिंगापुर जैसी कंट्री से. India received maximum FDI. तो ऐसे करके कुछ facts है कि we can also introduce, plus we can also introduce with respect to the what is FDI. Then moving on, coming to the main body is role of FDI in the India's competitiveness, how it will enhance India's competitive image in the world economy, in the global economy. सबसे पहले क्या आता है? FDI आता है तो पैसा आता है. पैसा आता है, इकोनॉमिक ग्रोथ होती है, एम्प्लॉयमेंट होती है, टेक्नोलॉजी ट्रांसफर होता है, इनोवेशन होता है. Now you can write in detail with respect to all this, like MNC, R&D activities, new sectors, for example, a lot of innovation. You can give some example. Then what else? Human development, human capital, new skills of the Indian workers will be enhanced. Then market access to the new region, integration with the global value chain. For example, Apple has opened its assembly line in India. Then India became part of global value chain of Apple formation, Apple phones, iPhones. Okay. What is the impact of global competitiveness on FDI? If our country stands better on the global rankings, then the business sentiments for India will improve. There will be more investment from the outside countries, outside stock players in the countries. तो हमने initiatives लिए हैं उसके लिए, जैसे Digital India, Make in India, Startup India, so that our country looks more attractive to the people. There is huge market. Plus, we have taken reforms like NPA reforms. We have launched one IBC bankruptcy code. Plus, we have improvised on the quality of infrastructure. Plus, lot of single window clearance systems have been launched. Then customs, again, customs have been relaxed a lot. GST network has helped to improvise our operations, especially with respect to the new companies, giving us new flows, FDI inflows. So we have strengthened our financial market, stock market, both. It has become more robust. Foreign investors are looking and more inclined. Plus, the climate change oriented efforts, for example, green hydrogen, okay, solar energy, so especially electric vehicle section. This implies that India is working on these strategies, so will require more investment and capital, as well as certain regulatory reforms have been streamlined. New codes on wages, code on social security, have streamlined certain redundant laws, as well as certain laws which are criminal in nature have been made civil punishments, जो कि Victorian era law थे. So such efforts has improvised the business sentiments, the investor sentiments for India, and more FDI is coming to India. Then what are the challenges? Challenges क्या है? सबसे पहले policy stability is one of the biggest challenge where it can deter FDI. तो हमारे यहाँ मैक्सिमम लोग FPI में क्यों लाते हैं पैसा? Because it is very easy to take away or take in the money. Plus, it is also the impact of the global environment. There are a lot of uncertainties going across the world. Ukraine war, Israel war, Iran sanctions, Russian sanctions by the USA, plus the China-US war that has also impacted India in some or other way. Plus, there is security concerns like if this money is channeled for some other purposes, if this money is from wrong source, for example, could promote terrorism, regional instability, and industrial disputes. Plus, we have huge skill gap. There was a report on skill of Indian workforce, which said that only 50 or like around 48% of Indian skill force or the workforce is properly skilled. So there is huge skill gap. So new employees ढूंढना is also difficult task for the foreign companies. Then you can end with the FDI's role. Then अगर हमें 5 trillion economy बनना है, then we need lot of FDI or top 3 economies of the world in the next 5 years. Then also we need lot of FDI technology. Further, for developed country by 2047, we need FDI. So by this you can conclude. So this was all in today's discussion. Thank you very much.